All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm Ryan Johnson again, and welcome to the 18th Annual Tallgrass Film Festival. I want to take a moment to thank all of our amazing sponsors out there and every single one of you for joining us this year virtually, watching the films, watching the Q&As, voting for the Audience Award winners, all that good stuff. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you so much. If you are enjoying yourself, obviously, let everyone know on Facebook and Instagram and all your social media by tagging us at Tallgrass Film and using that hashtag Tallgrass2020. Today, I've got with me Mick Dow with the film Pretty Bonnets. And I'm so happy to have you here with me today, Nick. Welcome. Or Mick, sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, it's really nice to be here. And it's nice to be showing the film because obviously it takes a couple of years to make a film like this. And we're only just getting out there and getting the film to audiences. So it's exciting to get the reactions. No.
So it's been a work for, you said, a couple of years now?
Working on the film, yes, because we also had 2 shoots, and I don't know, 15 minutes sounds like nothing, but it's especially when you're doing a heightened world and all the art department yourself, it's mammoth. I mean, it's what I love doing, but I mean, no, yeah, and then the edits and everything's, but I mean, it's been great. It's been a good journey doing it, and I've really enjoyed working with the whole team. You know, we've had some great actors in it, and also the art department, and working with the DOP and everybody. It's been a really heartwarming experience because it's quite a grim tale, you know.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's always so fantastic. I mean, making films is so hard that all you can hope for is a really great crew on your back and people you enjoy spending time with and working with. And so that's fantastic to hear.
I think with Pretty Bonnets, we're lucky because it was kind of fun. We made it fun. You know, the whole process was silly in a way, you know, because we're creating a fairy tale, but trying to retell it and break it apart and start again, you know. But yeah, you're still going to play off on all the same sort of looks and feels and the world that it's in, you know. But I don't want to just do a retake of the 3 Little Piggies or something like that. We want to create something new. That's why we thought, you know, what's missing in fairy tales for if you're going to tell your granddaughter or your child, you know, what's new in them? The problem with fairy tales is there's no leading ladies who are active and out there and doing stuff. So, but then of course the beauty of a fairy tale is there's got to be some kind of a moral in it, you know. So the moral comes in with the comedy of Pretty Bonnets, of how we're never as capable as we'd like to think we are, you know. The world falls apart around us, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when you've got Christine turning vigilante, you know, you don't really know how that's going to work out for her. So
yeah, I mean, we stretch, you know, like a fairy tale would stretch it to the extreme. You know, you find the least able to deal with this situation person you can think of.
Yeah, it reminds me of there was a film a few years ago by Jeremy Saulnier called Blue Ruin that was fantastic, and it was the, you know, the typical kind of revenge story, but the person that was seeking revenge was not John Wick and was not, you know, he was not capable, and so he just fumbles through the whole thing, and it felt really relatable.
You know, where it's like the story of the guy in A Fish Called Wanda who's trying to kill the old lady, and he's an animal lover, and each time he kills one of her tiny dogs. Yes. You know, it's that sort of ridiculous. Yeah, but that is the reality, and I think you know, I think we're in troubling times, but we have to break through, and recognise that we're pretty incapable, you know, and quite vulnerable, you know, and that's what the film's about.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed that, you know, that at the end, I mean, there was a real message there of undercutting. I mean, what was it? What was the message there?
In the UK, we've had cuts on everything in social services, especially in the police force, which is really shocking because we're having I think it's happening all over the world, a resurgence of a right wing which is behaving strangely like a left wing, and that they're not seeing, the police force as being important. In our neighbourhood, everybody was getting robbed around here, so everybody was starting up these, neighbourhood watches. I mean, what are we going to do? And I think that was where it was coming from. Originally, I was looking for stories, and I saw this story about a guy, and it was about a guy originally. He was just watched as people stole everything from his office, and he phoned the police, and they were too busy because there wasn't any police around. I mean, it's not just the police we've lost. Kids don't have youth centres to go to, and then they wonder why the kids are out in the streets causing fights. I mean, this story's been going out there for hundreds and hundreds of years, and we still haven't learned. You've got to provide something, out there. So, I mean, anyway, so it's coming from that sort of background of, it's just incredible cuts around this country from the Tory government, and being left in a situation of how to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at that point, it's like, do you just leave it alone, or you try to handle it? And that's obviously where
Christine comes on. I mean, it's funny. I think you don't. The most important thing is what I'm talking about. You don't see in the film, in a sense. The films is, if we take ourselves to another world, I'm hoping that everybody can come in and enjoy the film. And the film has got a message underneath there saying that, look, we're all pretty vulnerable. We need support on all sides, and that we're not the John Wicks. That's the people in the films, and we leave it there, because I think there's an awful lot of bravado going along in politics at the moment, coming from certain sides, where they're going, I'm the greatest, you're the greatest, and all this sort of stuff. And you're going, if you go with the Stoics, the philosophers, no, none of us are special, And as soon as you accept that fact, suddenly you'll get on together a bit better.
yeah, that's an absolute great way of looking at it, for sure. I mean, I agree 100%. So, okay, so I guess let's back up a little bit. So, you're here in the Tallgrass Film Festival with Pretty Bonnets, but, what I like to always kind of get everyone's kind of origin stories, and you'd kind of touched on this before, before the conversation here, but what brought you to filmmaking? I mean, what made you want to tell stories?
I've done performance all my life. So I've been up, mostly in the last, it's 20 years, I've been doing my comedy show, which is called Men in Coats. I've expanded on it, and I was also asked to write a couple of pilots, and I've made a couple of pilots with TV shows. I wrote them and performed in them, and it just kind of reminded me. I know it's awful, but I'm a dead romantic. I mean, it reminded me when I was a little kid at 14, and I looked in through the doors of the theatre, and everybody was busy doing this big production, and I asked, "Can I be involved?" It was just like, I love production, and so I like the process so much. I can't afford to do it as much as I'd like to do it, but this is where I'm trying to go. But I fell in love with the process, because there's one thing about a theatre show or a film that is that you can never predict what the film's going to be like or what it's going to be about until you've finished it. They're both unpredictables because it takes teamwork. And when it's teamwork, everybody's inspired and putting ideas in, the idea can grow. And, I think that's the most exciting thing. That's how I ended up doing a film like Pretty Bonnets, which had a path which developed. It wasn't originally as a fairy tale, and then we just felt like that's the way it was going, Actually, from the cast, when the cast came together, I thought, what else can you do?
They're so great.
It must have been in there in my head, so we developed on that theme,
That's awesome. So, so you said you did comedy and theater. I mean, do you? I mean, obviously, you did that for so long. I mean, do you love one more than the other? I mean, would you say, like, I would only do theater if I could, or are you happy doing both? I mean, does it allow you to be more creative? I mean, what are your thoughts on the differences?
I think each is different, and I think it's different times in your lives and stuff like that. I mean, the thing is, I don't want to stop performing, But no, I can't make a comparison. I think, there's a limit to how much I can talk about the world with my show. I mean, if you want to look on YouTube, look for a video of Men in Coats, you'll see the show, or parts of it. But I mean, that was all. So that's. Yeah, no, I'm really into film now because that's what I'm doing. I'm releasing a new film right this moment called Seven Green Bottles, which we filmed under lockdown. And this film is, none of us met, all online, just like this. But I worked with a good friend who I met at a film festival, Francois Zaidi, and he's an amazing editor. And we filmed it all on computers, and we've created a thriller.
That's fantastic.
So that's, and then I've got the next film coming out. So at the moment, I get obsessed, So when it's not a question of what you love, what are you obsessed with right at the moment?
That's me, 100%. Yeah. It's ask my wife, and she's like, "What are you into now? What are you like?"
It's the
tunnel vision. Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like a kind of an evolution of sorts. So that's really fantastic. What were the challenges of? I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's plenty, but what were some of the biggest challenges of making a film over the internet?
Oh well, do you know there was a surprising lack of problems because we chose a certain way of working. I thought it was going to be more theatrical than filming, simply because we set up a party. And if you're going to do a party, you know how difficult it is to film a party at the best of times, with everybody dancing to a click track or something, But that's all silly. But it's as a party. So we had to play the whole thing as a play, from it's 6 minutes long. So we played the whole thing and we did complete takes of it, Not as fancy as Rope by Hitchcock, maybe, but it was a one-take wonder, which we could then play around with. So there was, I can't say there was frustrations because we just made the decision. This is what we've got. How can we make a film? So the possibilities were great. What was most interesting, I think, was working with Francois, was working on dynamic windows that moved in a dramatic fashion, which would produce the same effect as editing as you would in a traditional film, taking the eye. But at the same time, you can still focus on everybody else's stories and how you tell that story. That was quite, that was exciting because we felt like we were doing something new.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the general consensus that I always come to with people is that, when you've got more constraints and you're forced into something, then ultimately creativity will overcome and you'll end up with something really cool out of necessity.
It's much easier if you really tie it down, I think, to come up with ideas, blank page stuff. I've got a white wall up there. I've really got to put things up there because it's really bad for me to stare up. Or it's just white,
Speaking of white walls, so you mentioned you were art director on Pretty Bonnets, right? So you did, or production design? Sorry.
So yeah. So I do, well, I'm going to say I work very closely with an art director as well, because it's the productions I want to do are so big, you can't claim direction on everything. So it's good that a art directed with Gaia, great director. She drew the image on the book, that's her sort of artwork and stuff. I built sets. I'm really good at building sets because I like it, So I built the whole office was a set. The police station was my living room, but with an extra wall put in and things like that. But I mean, I'm lucky I live in a bit of a space. It's not that nice. So I can build things in it. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah, I was wondering what the cleanup was like with all that blood, but I guess if you're, you're building your own set,
you built it yourself. I mean, luckily we got a free. It's a studio up in the outside of London, just outside of London. So we could do a clean up and put it all in the skip, you know?
Yeah.
And it was quite quick, actually. But that was all really exciting because, you know, I love being involved in building of stuff, and you getting the physical. A film like Pretty Bonnets, getting stuck into a cupboard, it's got to be the right width that a broomstick's going to make a difference. All these measurements, you've got to add this all up and create a world that works for the actors, so that you've had a whole artistic experience before you've started the film as a director, you know, building all that crap, and then you walk the actors in. And then suddenly they start getting a feel for the world and are reacting to the spaces that you made for them. You know, I mean, I've done all sorts of stuff from for £300, which is, to be honest with you, right at the moment, it's about $300. I've built First World War trenches for a film, which we won prizes for that film. That wasn't one of mine, but I really like art directing. But it's amazing what you can do in a small enough space, as long as you're like this with your director, you know, and they understand the physical. Because look at Pretty Bonnets. It's quite a dramatic world we're creating. I mean, I felt you have to build it, and that's, you know, that's half the fun. But so you build this world and you bring your actors in. Wow, it's really nice because it builds on their confidence as well to see a nice set and to feel part of the world, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt like, and I may just be extrapolating this, but I felt like once you saw the inside of Pretty Bonnets, it worked so well with what you kind of thought of that character from the very beginning. It was very kind of pure and like simple and just really pristine in there.
Yeah.
And I think that worked really well for, you know, that being Christine's space. And
it felt quite virginal, didn't it? And it was being played
yes,
by these oafs. I mean, they're really were oafs.
they were fantastic. How did the casting come together? I mean, how did you find such amazing talent?
We were casting quite widely, to be honest. I mean, I was trying to cast all the leads as women. I thought it was important. If we're going to tell a fairy story for a young girl, for instance, we should be, you know, the evil and the good and the bad should both be represented. But I wanted to, you know, I was lucky to know already Sasha, who I'd worked with before, and Cliff, who plays the big, you know, the big guy. He's great. He kind of defined the three of them in a way. And originally I was thinking I was going to have a two-woman team, but one of the women dropped out. So Cliff came in at the last minute, and Sharon had to change part. She was going to play the low status, so I put her up as a high status part. So all of this happens in the space of 1 or 2 days, and this is just normal filmmaking. You know what I mean? Because
just what to expect.
Messes up, and you've got no money, so you're going to have to sort it out some way. So the cast and everything, as it molded together, and luckily I'm working with really good actors. That as long as I think you give them a good backstory, actors are amazing. You know, if you tell them a backstory, even if they don't even listen to it, some of it goes in there, and they digest it and they chew on it, and they can go into a scene with what Alistair McKendrick says, with something in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah,
and that's exactly what you want. And they were really, really nice guys to work with. We had a great party when we were showing it, because obviously nobody had seen what I was seeing through the lens. You know, yeah.
So then you mentioned, you know, it was like kind of a long journey from beginning to obviously end. So then did you, since part of it was on set, part of it was outside, all that sort of stuff, I mean, did you really have to chop that all up as far as filming goes? Was there a lot of time in between or anything like that?
Yeah, we did have a big chunk of time in between when we had to find a time when everyone was free. But we filmed the core of the film in one lot, and you had to do that to make it work. Yeah. But we didn't have, and I just didn't have the time to create the police station. So we decided to film that and the outside scenes with the campfire in another block. So it was just basically waiting to get everybody ready. And of course, then we had to cast a young girl, which is always interesting, you know, working with young actors. And it was really important that we had a very natural, believable performance, because the camera goes straight in, straight away. I wanted everybody pulled in, you know, as you would be in a fairy tale. And so, yeah, wow. She's got that little face, which is quite simple and pure and innocent. So that you see her at the end, completely unhappy with what she's saying. You know, it's all about extremes, going from one to the other, isn't it, really? We were very lucky, I think, with our casting. I just don't know. It's so difficult to find such people that work together so well, you know.
Yeah, 100%. I gotta say, she that girl, she just nailed that punchline of the whole film. And it just tied it up nice with a little bow.
She hasn't actually seen. I don't know whether she's seen it, because I think she's a bit young yet. You know, obviously her mum's seen the film and everything like that, and I'm sure she'll see it soon, and it'll be quite funny for her, really. Won't it?
Yeah. So you mentioned you've got obviously other films you're working on, finishing up, they're coming out. I mean, is that the plan for the foreseeable future? You're going to continue write and direct and develop. Is this going to be your first? So is the new film, is that a feature?
No, not yet. Not yet. I'm still on shorts. But the feature's a thing of, you know, it's a lot of money. No, it's how do you get that together? How do you write the story? You know, Ben Wheatley, he's an English director you might have heard of. He did a feature all in a house called I'm trying to remember the name of it. It'll come to me. It's Downs Terrace. Really great idea about two drug dealers come out of prison, come home, and they want to know who snitched on them. You know the term snitched?
Oh, yeah.
You know, who told on them, you know. So that's all the story is. And it's very funny. There's some really funny bits which shouldn't be funny, you know. It's very, very dark. All right. But, you know, that's the sort of thing you want to be able to write. And that's quite difficult. And even then that costs you 60,000 to make. So basically I've got a plan. I'm going to write a feature, but at the moment we're just focusing on storytelling and making stories at the same time. But we've got a couple of ideas. Francois, who I worked with on 7 Green Bottles, and I are going to do some writing together. I think we seem to exponentially improve each other's work, you know, which is really good.
Yeah, I know it's important to find that person that you each kind of lift each other up, and the product that comes out of it is always just awesome.
It's a story you want to tell, isn't it?
Yeah,
what do you want to tell?
Yeah, and you know, I'm always curious, obviously, like when people are gonna even attempt to go the feature route, but I think that's a really beautiful way of putting it is, you know, we're going to continue to tell stories. We'll work on a feature, write a feature in the background and really flesh it out and everything. But in the meantime, like there's no point in just spending all your time trying to do the impossible. Like you can still create and tell stories.
Yeah, well, I mean, the time will come, you know, and it feels like a bit closer. It's pretty terrifying. I don't know whether you've written many features yourself, but the whole thing of I'm dyslexic, you know. But I've still had to write everything I've ever had done. So I mean, but the feature's just enormous, and it could be a lot of fun with the right idea, you know.
Yeah, see, I have I don't want to say the easy part of that, but I'm an actor, I'd say first and foremost, and then I've done a little bit of producing on our own, like our own short films, because we're just like a little short film family here in town.
Yeah.
Um, and a little bit of like art direction and like special effects stuff. But I can't write. I can't. But I've got someone for that. That's my collaborator, Wade, and he's great, and he can just
Yeah.
pump stuff out. So I like to say,
I wish I
bring me
could
what you're
replicate that.
thinking. Bring me
I
what you're
usually,
thinking, and we can build up from there.
yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah.
Well, man, I could do this all day, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. I guess we already kind of touched on what's coming up next. I mean, anything other than that you're excited about?
Um, just I'll just say I'm also coming out with a 2-minute short, which is called Santayana's Passage, which I think has to come out now because it's about right now. It's a little haiku in film form, haiku poems.
Uh-huh.
Well, I've done one over Santayana's most famous line, and it's called Santayana's Passage. So I'm going to be pushing that out there as well. So I'm just hoping that people latch on and, because I want to start releasing stuff online, so that we can start getting an audience, because I think there is an audience out there, and I'm trying to find, where they are. I mean, the thing is, it's been great through the film circuit. Home in a Box first introduced us, and we could see that I was immediately enjoying mostly the fan-based festivals, and I was ending up going quite fantastic anyway, which is what I like, but also because there's an audience there of people who really want to watch stuff, So I'm trying to appeal to the audience who are out there of festivals which are run by the fans themselves,
Mm-hmm.
So that's the audience I'm appealing to, because I think that's the one that really counts, because you can break out of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some ceilings for everybody here,
Yeah.
But don't worry, as long as you can find an audience who wants to see your stuff, then you'll find somebody who wants to give you money to do it. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
We have to remember we're nobody special. Only our work is. You've got to do your best for as hard as you can to give something that's going to surprise and delight people, even in a disgusting, horrible way that people don't want to hear it. But at the same time, they want to be delighted, if that's a good term.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I would say that that's definitely, kind of where we come from with Tallgrass is, we're all just huge fans of filmmaking, independent filmmaking, especially. Yeah. Our motto is stubbornly independent. And I mean, I think just about everyone can kind of identify with that at this stage and at this level. Everyone's just doing what they can to make their stuff, no matter how they got to make it. And it's really inspiring.
Yes, and we're all learning from each other, really. There's a few films I've watched at the festival here. I really want my mate Francois to look at, because that's cool. I like what they're doing there,
Yeah. Yeah, there's some other guys out of the UK, Craig, and I cannot remember the director's name right now, but they're called Deadline Films, I believe is what they're called. And they've got a short in the sports block called Shadow Boxer that is
okay, I'm going to check that out.
Pretty fantastic. Yeah. They were really nice guys. I got to talk to them the other night on the Q&A, and you got to check that one out too. So, well, I'm glad you're watching the festival and taking it in.
Yes, I'm really enjoying it. But the last one I watched was was it Fantastic Sci-Fi section?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Okay, cool. I'll let,
what's it called? I should have it up in front of me, the one I've just watched. But I've been going through, I'll watch all the short films and I'll see what else I can get into. But my head's in short films at the moment.
Yeah. I love shorts. That's why I'm here at Tallgrass is to get to watch all the shorts and talk to everyone and learn from them and everything.
Hopefully I can get back in, who knows, with one of my other films. You've got to like it first. But, if I'd like to come, it's much better to come to the festivals. And that was the plan this year. That was clever.
Yeah, we are in-person, showing films, building community, around them, making connections. I mean, that's our mantra, to the point of where we didn't even know if we were gonna do it this year, because we didn't know if we would still be able to have that connection and build those connections and have that community virtually. And I think everyone has worked extremely hard to make sure that we have as much connection as possible. And like you said, the beautiful thing is I can talk to someone in Tokyo, and I can talk to someone in the UK and someone in Kansas, all on the same Zoom. Very different time zones, but we make it work. And
it's not too late here, 10:30, and it's been fun. Thank you very much for giving us the time to show our work. And it was the work of a lot of people, and I think we were all we really enjoyed the process. So I'm happy to go, watch this.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to share it with everyone too. I think you all did a fantastic job, and kudos to you and the rest of the cast and crew. Great work. I can't wait to see what comes next. Please keep submitting. We'll get you out to Kansas as soon as the world goes back to normal and we can do it. Let's do it. I'd love to hang out and chat with you some more. So
see you in London maybe.
Yeah. Hey, that sounds awesome. My wife's always wanted to go. So maybe we should plan a trip.
We've got a sofa bed here.
All right, I'll take you up on that, Mick. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for the 18th Annual Tallgrass Film Festival and for this conversation and all of the other ones. Make sure you vote for those audience award winners. Make sure you cast a vote for Pretty Bonnets and all of the other amazing films that we have programmed this year. Thank you, Mick. Thank you so much for doing this. Have a wonderful night.
See you later, man.
Bye.